Cool. All right. All right. Welcome to Yin Yoga. We are going to focus on an energy center tonight, right where your rib cage intersects at the front, your solar plexus chakra or energy center. And among other things tonight, we're going to open the neck, the shoulders, the hips, all the things. You do want a bigger prop if you got one to work with today. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll take a moment and arrive, however you want to pause and take in your breath. You can lie down or you can sit up. If you are seated, consider sitting on a prop and notice how that changes the feeling in your spine. So it might just give you more room in your spine, a little less compression in the hips. Then we'll drift our head back just an inch in space and see if that helps open your chest a little more. Stacking your ears over your shoulders over your hips. Taking in some breaths here. Take a slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. And continue to watch your breath move in and out. Inhale fully. And exhale softly. One more time. Inhaling. And slow, steady exhale. And then we'll take a sort of a mudra or a hand gesture. We'll interlace our fingers. Palms right at the bottom of your rib cage where they intersect, like your stomach, I guess is how you think of it. You know, just rest your palms right there at your solar plexus chakra. You can either close your eyes or soften your gaze and start to breathe into right where your hands are, right at that center of the belly, breathing there as you inhale. Slowly and steadily breathing out as you exhale. We'll take 2 more breaths just like that. We're thinking of your palms as little stethoscopes. You can detect and notice what this area of your body feels like or is sensing into what this energy center feels like. We'll take a moment to check in. So you might notice at your solar plexus a little bit of warmth or a collection of energy. Maybe you can feel a little flicker of a flame there. Noticing the warmth under your hands, noticing how warm. Maybe it's a fire, or maybe it's just a little glimmer of a flame. And then notice, is the fire contained or is it wild? And then whatever you notice, breathe it to life. So if it feels really, really warm, you can let your breath slightly cool it. If the flame feels dim or a little weak, imagine your breath is stoking that fire. We'll take 3 more breaths. And then let's take a large inhale together. Inhale fills you up. Exhale, empty all the air out. And you'll release your hands, open your eyes if they're closed. You're sitting on something really tall. You want to sit on something lower to the ground for what's next. So maybe sit on a blanket or just directly on your mat. We'll lean back on our hands and you can just take a moment to unwind the legs before we sit cross-legged again. And then we'll rebend the knees and we'll interlace the fingers one more time. This time you're going to flip your palms inside out and press the palms all the way out in front of you. And at the same time you do that, round your spine, chin to the chest, cat pose. On your next inhale, lift your heart up, lift the hands to the sky, as much as comfortable. So it might feel a little rigid on the shoulders at some point. I'm gonna back off from anything too intense. And we'll continue. Exhale around. Inhale to lift the heart up. You can think of that little fiery flame at your belly. And this movement is almost stoking it or bringing it to balance. Okay, so we're not letting the flame get too wild. It's feeling dim. We're growing that flame. Let's take 2 more here. And the next time your arms lift up, keep them over your head and then take your arms wide. Take your right hand down to the floor. Take your left arm over your head. Getting a nice side stretch. You're welcome to crawl your right fingertips further off your mat. You want to sit on both sitting bones. You don't want to lift off. We'll give our neck and shoulder a little bit of love here. So you'll bend your elbow down into your waist and look up on the inhale. And then stretch the arm over your head as you look down on the exhale. You'll continue to move with your breath, very gentle. And so the reason why we're focusing on the solar plexus chakra today is we're, at the time that this is being recorded, we're in what is called Leo season. And it's associated with this chakra. The solar plexus chakra is about having worthiness, a healthy ego, self-esteem, confidence, courage. And sometimes the energy center can be deficient in energy, not enough energy, or sometimes you can have an excess energy. So just by paying attention to that area, brings it into balance. So then we'll come up and then we'll interlace our fingers in the opposite bind. So it'll feel like your other thumb's on top, like you're holding someone else's hand. And then we'll round again, just like before. Inhale, lift the gaze, lift the heart, and exhale, round. We'll continue this 4 more breaths and round. Let's take 3 more here. And the next time you raise your arms up, you'll part the hands. And this time the left hand will touch down to the floor. You'll sweep your right arm over your head like a big rainbow arc. You're welcome to crawl your hand a little further out and away from you to get a little more reach in that side. And then we'll take a moment to draw our elbow down, look up as you inhale. Stretch the arm over your head as you look down. Exhale. Continue that gentle movement. So you can think of this little flame in your belly as a way to process what needs to be processed, a thought or a feeling. The flame can be very clearing to the body. It can also kind of reveal, like you're bringing a light to something. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And last one. And then we'll sit up. All right, we are going to lie down next. Our hip flexors are going to have a break. Get to open up. This is where you'll use your larger prop. Now I'll show you, and there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of different props you can use. You're going to find the right version that works for you. So first we'll lie flat on the back. And for some of us, actually, no prop is necessary. You might just feel like enough of a stretch to have your legs long. And just this opens up your hip flexor in a very gentle way. So that, when we sit or drive, the hips are being flexed, right? So they don't have to flex here. So this might be where you stay. If you want to explore a deeper option, grab whatever prop you like. Plant your feet on the floor, bridge those hips up, and take that prop right under your hips. And make sure it feels stable, secure. This might be where you stay. So we're feeling supported by our prop. This is supported bridge pose. And you can crawl your shoulder blades together under your back. Feel your heart open, your belly open here. Now, if you have any low back tenderness, I would remain here. But if it feels safe to do so, you can experiment with extending one leg and maybe holding that. Or maybe it feels okay to extend both legs. Now, if this pulls on the low back, we don't want to stay here. We want to come back to bent knees. You can even take your arms back behind you or out to the sides. We'll take about 10 deep breaths here. And if it helps today to focus on that solar plexus chakra and breathing, like there's that flame there, and you can feel the flame get brighter as you inhale. And as you exhale, the flame travels back to the center of your solar plexus. You can kind of meditate on that today. It's the offering to focus on today. Notice if there's any resistance there or tension, or very normal to feel disconnected to our energy centers if you don't often practice focusing on them. So have some love and kindness for yourself if it feels a little disconnected. We'll take our last 3 breaths here. All right, we'll stay over our prop. We'll come back to that supported bridge if you're not already there. Just regroup, maybe lift your hips, tuck your tailbone under, lower it down so your low back has an opportunity to lengthen. Again, you're welcome to stay here. I'm going to offer number 4 stretch. And it's kind of nice when you have a prop under your hips for this. You'll cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Now, if your prop is bulky enough, what can be nice is to fold your legs into your body, but you may not have to grab your legs. Gravity can kind of pull your legs down towards your chest for you if your hips are high enough. Otherwise, if it feels right to grab your legs and kind of help guide them down, you're welcome to do that. And when the mind starts to wander off or you start to lose focus, I invite you to come back to breathing into that solar plexus, breathing in, breathing out, and watching what shifts, watching what sensations arise as you breathe there. For this final few moments we'll be here, if it feels okay to extend your bottom leg long to the ceiling and just do a little bit of a point and a flex, maybe a few circles each direction. You can address the foot here a little bit. And then we'll bring it back to the earth. We'll rebend that back knee, carefully lower the legs down. Take both feet to the floor and just pause for a moment. Notice what you notice. Notice any asymmetry, any blood flow, warmth, circulation. And then if the shoulders are starting to round or the shoulder blades are kind of sloping away from each other, walk your shoulder blades underneath you one more time. And then we'll do the other side. So this time, if you're following along with me, you'll cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. And then you'll pick up your legs, let them fall in. And you can I like to shimmy my hips a little more down my mat or down my prop so my tailbone curves up to the ceiling. If that doesn't feel sustainable, you could, of course, grab your legs. And finding a steadiness to your breath here. Letting your breath move into all those little nooks and crannies of your body that may not get that sensation of breath regularly. It might feel stagnant or stuck. See if you can be curious where you feel a little stagnant in your body. Can you breathe into those areas? And then for the final few moments, we'll remain here. If you did it on the first side, you can extend your back leg towards straight. It does not have to be all the way straight. And then begin to point and flex your foot. Notice you might feel that hamstring stretch or calf stretch. Maybe you do a few circles of that foot around your ankle, three each direction. And then slowly we'll rebend that back knee, lowering your legs down, and then pausing once you get there and taking it in, soaking in all the sensations, the very, very subtle to the obvious, the whole spectrum. And then gradually we will slide off this prop. You're welcome to press into the feet, bridge your hips, slide it out from underneath you, and then bridge your hips all the way down. Then we'll hold the knees in, rock across the low back for just a moment to reset before we move on. And actually, let's do one thing on our back before we move on. We're going to stabilize the back of the pelvis, the sacral area, before we move on. So we'll come back to that bridge shape. Feet on the floor, close towards your glutes. Feet are about hip width, and then arms press alongside you. You'll hover your hips and then squeeze all the muscles at the back of your hips, your glutes. Feel like you're equally squeezing your glutes and you're wrapping them around that sacrum. And then let it all relax. Lower your hips to the ground. Let it release and get heavy. And then we'll do that twice more. Squeeze your glutes. Lift your hips just 2 inches off the floor, not much at all. Lift your toes, dig your heels into the glutes. And then relax your toes, lower your hips down. One more here, dig your heels into the ground, cover the hips 2 inches off, squeeze the back of your hips, and then lower it down. And then you can just kind of windshield wiper your knees. So of course we want to open our body in yin yoga, but we also want to balance it with a little bit of yang for stability. All right, let's roll over to the side, come on up. Let's do one more little neck stretch, or maybe 2 more. Let's do this next one. So you'll sit one more time. You'll sweep your arms behind you. Now you have the option to make a little interlaced finger with the pointer finger extended, like a little steeple. You'll take that behind you and you'll stick your pointer fingers down into the floor, or maybe your knuckles into the floor, depending on how long your arms are. And then lift the shoulders up, around, and down. Hug your shoulder blades together on your back. Stretch your spine nice and tall. Keep the lift of your spine and then drop your chin to your chest. And then roll your chin over to your right shoulder. Drop your chin down to your chest and then over to the left. And we'll do this back and forth a few more times. Taking your time with it. Moving slow enough and steadily enough that those tissues, the neck muscles have an opportunity to stretch and unwind. You might even yawn. It really helps to relax the jaw, which influences your neck, which influences your shoulders. Going slow, I feel like you can observe a little more of those pops or subtle sensations. Let's take 2 more of these. And then once you've done an even amount, drop your chin down to your throat, release your hands and pause. Take your hands to your forehead and then use your hands to lift your head up. And then we'll do another neck stretch, but you'll lie on your belly for this. So I'm going to move this prop. So all you'll need to use is, you'll be on your belly. You might use a yoga blanket under your belly if that feels better. Take your right ear to the floor like you're listening into the floor. And then check in with how your neck feels. So we want to stay here for the sake of a pretty passive neck stretch. So arms can be in a goalpost or T shape. But if your neck feels a bit compromised, if it feels a bit tender or tense, it might feel better for you to stack your hands under your right ear instead. So you'll choose one or the other. Take some slow, steady belly breaths, pressing your belly down into the floor as you inhale, letting all the air out as you exhale. Continue to breathe for 4 more breaths, slow and steady. One more inhale. Exhale, let it all out. Now, if your hands have been under your head, we all are going to take our right temple to the floor now. And you might have to kind of pick up your head and then kind of angle it down so your temple is pressing into the ground. And then we're going to massage our temple with the floor. So this is a pretty small and a bit subtle, more subtle movement, but movement nonetheless. It's like you're making little circles with your temple against the floor, or you could rock forward and back, or you could rock up and down, and just kind of play. And there might be one spot around this area, maybe it's your cheekbone, that needs some attention. You can experiment. And we'll let this be our last breath. And we'll pause in stillness to take an inhale. And on your next exhale, pick your head up, turn your gaze in the opposite direction, left ear on the floor. We're going to pause and just rest here, no movement yet. So you might keep your ear on the floor, or you might take your hands and stack them under your ear like a little pillow for your head. And this side might need something else. So be open that you might do something different here. We'll take some slow, deep belly breaths. And then from here, if you want to massage that left temple, you'll do it just as we've been doing. You'll kind of rest your temple on and just kind of bob and weave, just kind of move it around in a circle, or you can just feel into it. And we'll let that be our last breath, and we'll come back to center, and we'll use our hands to press ourselves up slowly. We're going to take a child's pose. So you have your bulkier prop today. I think it's great for child's pose. So we're going to kind of revisit that neck stretch in a way. So if you want to use a prop, take your bigger prop right in front of you. Take your knees about as wide as your mat and bring your big toes together so they touch. You'll sit your hips back towards your heels. And then you'll bring that bolster right up to your inner thighs, or whatever prop you have, right? So if you have something long, it's going to look like this. If you have something smaller, like a block, it will just be maybe to support your rib cage or your forehead. Whatever you have, you'll find some length through your spine, and then you'll round over your prop. Now, if you have this bigger prop today, you can do that same neck stretch we just did. Can rest your right ear on the bolster. Again, if it feels far away, you can stack your hands under your ear instead. Feel really comfortable. So if you need to widen your knees even further apart, that might feel more comfortable. You want to take your arms down by your side, by your feet. or out to the sides, up, find the version that works for your shoulders. And allow yourself to be heavy here. Smooth and steady breaths. And I'll let you know we're about halfway through, so you can turn your head in the opposite direction. We have 10 more breaths on this side first. Let's take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, we'll pick ourselves up just enough. So basically you'll press into your arms and you'll just turn your head in the opposite direction. And we'll be here a little bit longer. We'll slide our hands in and just slowly make our way back up. And we'll remove whatever props we have off to the side. So we're going to go into opening the sides even more. If you want to extend your legs out, that's probably going to feel best. So we are going to stay seated next. And we're going to take one leg long, so left leg can be long, and then right knee can be bent. You got the sole of that right foot to the left knee. Now, it's tempting to kind of round the back and lean back here. So we want to be mindful if we're in that place, we don't want to start our pose from this place. So you do want to find a little bit of ab engagement and feel like you're sitting directly up on your sitting bones. Now, if that doesn't feel accessible, that's when you want to sit on a prop, okay? So it'll make all the difference. So sitting on a prop if you need to first. And then you can grab that same bigger prop we've been using, you can stick it behind your leg. Or if you have a yoga block, probably a yoga block is the best because you have the tall setting, and that's a kind of a classic way to do this. But I'll show you how to adapt it. So you'll take whatever prop you got, you'll take it behind your left leg, kind of near the knee. And then see if you can stick your elbow on that block and lean into that side bend. And we've been doing a lot of stuff for our neck today. So we want our neck happy. Our neck feels compromised. You want to prop even more under your elbow. So the higher you're elevated with that elbow, the more accessible and gentle the side bend is. So you're in the side bend, and that's how we're going to stay. So, you can play with that top arm resting or tucking behind your low back. If you have that bulkier prop, you might stick it on top of your leg and then rest, which I think is really nice. And so playing around with that. And then once you find the way you want to prop yourself, now if it's still kind of far away, what you can do is you can bend your knee. Now the leg is going to stay active, but we want to feel a side bend primarily. Secondary would be a hamstring stretch, right? And you can lean back a little bit and you might feel more of a side bend in that right waist. When you roll forward, it takes you out of the side bend. So you'll find the right amount of that side stretch that works for you. And then listen to what your shoulder needs today, not what you think it should have, but arm overhead is sort of the classic thing a lot of people do. But we don't want it to feel like a traffic jam on the top shoulder. We want it to feel really relaxed still. So please take care of your shoulder in whatever way feels path of least resistance. We'll be here for about 10 more breaths. Let your belly open up, and if you ever start to feel your low back, we don't want to feel our low back, we want to feel our side. So do prop under your elbow even more. And you can feel that little flame or that digestive fire. That is your solar plexus chakra. And from here, before you come out of it, extend your right arm long, like there's a handle, and you could grab that invisible handle and use your strength to pull you back up. And then we're taking just a very small moment to twist towards our straight leg. So you'll take your fingers to the ground, you'll pick up your spine, and you'll twist to the left, facing that straight leg just for a moment. And then just a gentle forward fold over that straight leg. So either hand can be on either side of the leg. You also have your prop. You could just stick it on top. We'll only be here for a little bit. Let your neck go, let your head go. And then we'll press ourselves back up, and then there is a little transition if you want to take it here. So we'll bend both knees. You'll cross your ankles. So you're in that cross-legged seat again. Then you'll take your hands back. Lean back into your hands. Now you could simply lift your chest, and that might be all you need. If you want a more active transition, you could press down into your legs, lift your hips too. So this is kind of a big back bend. And then we'll lower back down and do the second side. So we'll take that right leg out, not your widest middle split. Give yourself more like this 90-degree shape with your two thighs. And then find your tallest seat. And if you need to sit on a prop, do that as well. Find your prop of choice, stick it behind your straight leg, and then test the water. See what happens if you stick your right elbow on that. Rest your head in your hand. And then I like to take my left hand to my hip and kind of lean back testing the water. So noticing a pretty clear side stretch in the left. And then leaning forward, notice how that takes you out of the stretch a little bit. And just finding that right amount of side stretch where you want to be here for 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. And then decide how your arm wants to stay. Maybe you tuck it behind your low back, or maybe it feels natural to rest over your head or at your hip. And then check in with your neck. You want it to feel really happy. You don't want it to feel constricted or tense. I will even put my fingertips under my head if I feel like I need just a little bit more height. And we'll take some slow, steady breaths. We'll be here for 10 more breaths. And then we'll reach the left arm out, grab that invisible handle to come up. And then bending both knees, you can come back to that cross-legged seat. Oh yeah, I left this out. Extend. So let's go back to the right leg straight, because we're going to do that little brief twist and fold over the straight leg. So take your fingertips to the floor, twist towards your right leg first, and then fold for a moment. And let your head go heavy. You can put props under your arms if you like that here. Want to feel a hamstring stretch in our right leg, our spine, a bit of a stretch as well, our back. And then gradually you'll crawl your hands in, stacking your spine up, and we'll rebend both knees as before, that little counter moment, rebalancing. So you can just take your hands behind you, your fingertips behind you, lift the heart, or if you want to go deeper, press into the palms, press into the knees, lift the hips, lift the heart. And then we'll lower back down. Let's take one more, let's take a back bend. We have a kind of it'll be a back bend, but in the upper body this time, not the lower body. We started with our hips elevated in that back bend. So now we're going to end with our heart and our solar plexus kind of opening a bit more over your prop. So you don't have a big prop, and you have something small, you could back bend over this block, or you could roll up a blanket, place that rolled up blanket right under your shoulder tips, and there's your back bend. If you have a bulkier prop, that's what we've been playing with today. You want to sit on your prop, and then you're going to kind of hang your head and your shoulders off this prop. So what that looks like is kind of sitting on your bulky prop and then lying back. Now, we all probably have different props at home. So what we want to what we want to focus on is, one, are your shoulder blades flat on the mat? So for most of us, once we're here, you're going to crawl your body a little bit further back on the mat, and they'll for sure be flat on the mat. You'll even feel your shoulder blades hugging together on your back. So that's the main thing we want for our back bend. And then arms can be long, or they can even be back behind you or out to the sides. And if it feels okay for your body to extend your legs long, you could do that as well. Just be mindful of your low back. And feel that heart expand, feel your solar plexus expand. And we'll continue to breathe into that solar plexus again, feeling that gentle warmth. That fiery flame is a little more balanced, and you're breathing, stoking that fire just enough so it stays bright. Continues to burn, continues to process, it needs to process. And then we'll be here for another minute, and there is a affirmation associated with this particular chakra we've been working on today. And it's I am worthy. I am worthy. So you can think that to yourself repeatedly, silently. I am worthy. As for as many breaths as you like, we'll be here for about another minute. And so you can think, I am worthy. I am worthy. We'll take one more breath right into the solar plexus. Inhale, worthiness. And exhale, let it go. And then however you want to come off. Probably the easiest way is to roll all the way over to one side. Lie on your side for a moment, let your body acclimate to the floor, and then moving your prop off your mat. Then you'll take your time to lie back. We're going to set up for Shavasana next, and you're welcome to do legs up the wall if that's something that would feel good in place of Shavasana. Otherwise, you can start to maybe put that bulkier prop behind your knees, Maybe cover your body with a blanket or take a blanket behind your head. And really, we've been spending all this time concentrating on our chakra and breathing and staying present, but now's the time we let all that mental focus go. And just allow your mind to become heavy or really open and light, like your body is heavy, but your mind is kind of like the sky. It's just kind of opening and expanding and airy, letting all of the focus go, controlling your breath. We'll rest here for a few moments. Shavasana. And we'll take just a moment to find our breath again, let it deepen. You're welcome to take a full body stretch and initiate a yawn, and maybe swirl around the wrists and ankles, wiggle the fingers and toes. And then finally, as you're ready, squeeze your knees into your chest and rock across your low back, and we'll roll over to one side, and we'll make your way up to an easy seat. And we'll just take a moment to touch on one more time, interlacing our fingers, bringing our palms to that solar plexus right at the stomach, and observing that little flame. We all have that flame. Notice if it's burning brighter or you're just feeling more of it. Sensing a collection of energy there. And we'll take one more breath. Just inhale together fully. Exhale, let it go. We'll bring our palms together at the heart and bow the thinking mind to the caring heart. Thank you so much for sharing your practice. It is truly an honor to serve you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.